Jeremiah 49:20. Therefore hear the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom and his purposes, that he have purpose against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. The Amalekites, who are posing to be the people of the Lord and they're not, and the whole world knows it, but many of the people of the world are scared to speak on it, and or it gets drowned out in the very media that Amalek's controlled. They are the least of the flock, and they're definitely drawing all of the EU, NATO, and the West and the East into this third world war. Kol halal Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Rakaha Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. The 144,000 and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth among the heathen that look like those heathen, and to the few Akwath that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the great millstone, coming at you with another lesson in truth. As you can see, this George Galloway, the dude there with the hat, and then this guy Danny Haifong. He's either Ammon or Moab, I don't know which one. But this is a pretty powerful video of them giving facts about the state, about the situation, the state of being in Western Asia, which is fraudulently called the Middle East for racial reasons. How Esau has tried to whitewash Western Asia into being and North Africa as to being one region where white people so-called come from, which to a portion of that is true because Esau Edom is from the mountains of Petra, from Petra, which was Mount Seir originally in the land of Jordan, and there are relics left behind of people who look like Alexander and the rest of the Greeks and Romans to prove it. You can't deny it anymore. And there are eagles all over the place, and the eagle is the animal symbol of Esau Edom, the so-called white man. All right, so now that that's been said, they're exposing themselves, and they're exposing themselves on the world stage, and they're making even their own allies and want to go against them. Egypt just came out, and Egypt, even though it applied for its BRIC status now, but it applied for it already, and the Egyptians have joined the list of many nations that are no longer using the dollar, which is guaranteeing the death of the dollar, right? And when you destroy a currency, people go to war, and you best believe that. And not to mention that China and Russia, Gog and Magog, and they have gotten together, and along with the BRICS countries, and they've got the lead on the digital currency, and their currency is also backed by gold, and that is. And I watched a video earlier where the woman talked about Egypt doing it, and how many other nations in the region and around the world are going to do so. So we keep telling you that, it's eventually all the nations of the world are going to come against America. Israel is going to be completely swallowed up and wiped off the map because Israel is really nothing without American firepower. They're just that big mouth little brother who has the bully big brother that everyone was afraid of. All right. And they're going to find out that they really should have kept their mouth shut and not try to move their borders, not to mention that they don't belong anywhere because they're not the people. They're going to find it out the hard way. Without any further ado, George Holloway and Danny Haifong.
Israel cannot invade Lebanon is because the partisan army there is 100 times more powerful than the guerrilla army facing them in Gaza, with weapons that could literally level, flatten all of Israel, all of its cities and its towns, its airports, its factories, and even threaten its nuclear weapons in under the ground in Dimona
Damn.
themselves. So they cannot fight Hezbollah. They have failed to defeat. I'm not saying Hamas beat them, but as you know, a guerrilla army wins if it does not lose. A conventional army loses if it does not win. And that's what Israel is now facing on its southern and northern front.
Wow.
Palestine's allies in the Yemen, far away in the Yemen, the poorest country in the world, has the means of delivering missiles on Tel Aviv. The Iraqi resistance has the same means or more. The looming presence of an undefeatable Iran, they're all the time talking. Lindsey Graham is constantly talking about attacking Iran, making war on Iran.
And see, the issue is that the offenses are so great, there's no pulling back. Right? The arrow has already been shot. So it's like if you pull that arrow and then once you let it go, you realize that, damn, now that I'm not looking it through the scope and I'm just looking at the target. I really didn't want to hit that guy because I know once this arrow hits him, it's gonna bring a retaliation that I know that I cannot survive or that I wish I hadn't stirred up. And see, they've stirred up a hornet's nest that they cannot stop and made themselves bare. This is Jeremiah 7:49-7, and it reads, concerning Edom, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Because it seems like everything that they do backfires on them to the point where even when it comes to medical and other different things, and then they have to, make codes and laws and things to keep people from talking and come against, and coming against certain tyranny and things like that because they get exposed and now they want to try to hold you accountable for exposing them. Think, Julian Assange and the Edward Snowden dude and the private, the private alphabet dude who flip-flopped. I forget his name. All right. Let's jump up to Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he have not been able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and he is not, and his neighbors is not. So, he's exposed himself in so many wrongdoings, he can't cover it up now, including his history. All right. They also want to try to hold people, in some position of where they have to, where they're being attacked or what's the word that I'm looking for? Council culture for bringing out actual history of things that happen here in America to people of color and things of that nature. All right. So you bring out the truth on these people, you get penalized. How dare you tell the truth about what we did and how we got our riches? You're a threat. You're a terrorist. All right. Jeremiah 49:11. Leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, and let their widows trust in me. All right. And thus saith Yahweh, behold, those whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken, and art thou he that shall go altogether unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink. Because see, we drank of that cup, and we weren't supposed to drink it. And now they got to drink it, and it's going to be double. The dregs are going to be double for them. All right. And it says, verse 13, I have sworn by myself, saith Yahweh, that Basra shall become a desolation, a reproach, and a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be a perpetual waste. I have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, gather yourselves together against her, and rise up against her in battle. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen, and I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. People despise the Edomites at this point, especially Amalek and the west and the western, mainly the western powers being America, Edomites. Thy terribleness have deceived thee in the pride of thy heart, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill, Mount Seir. All right? Petra, the original home of the Edomites, which sits in Western Asia, in Georgia, in Jordan, Salakia. Though thou makest thy nest high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith Yahweh. The Lord is about to bring these people down, man. And there's nothing they can do about it. And George is telling you how vulnerable these people are. These people are starting war that they cannot win.
Iran could defeat.
The fact that they ran away from Afghanistan is another evidence of that.
The looming presence of an undefeatable Iran. They're all the time talking. Lindsey Graham's constantly talking about attacking Iran, making war on Iran. Iran could defeat the United States in a war. It could sink every American ship in the Persian Gulf. It could bring the world economy to a complete halt. And of course, it has the means of destroying Israel. And who knows what means, in truth, it has. Israel rests on its supremacy as an illegally acquired and held nuclear weapons country. But what if Iran has nuclear weapons? And why shouldn't it? If Israel has nuclear weapons and is threatening Iran, why shouldn't Iran have nuclear weapons?
And see, that's why, Netanyahu talked about the whole Samson thing. Because he's laying out how many smaller nations could actually destroy Israel and also beat America in a war if America tried to go over there. All right? So, they talked about that Samson thing, meaning that they would just destroy themselves and everyone else. And that is the mentality of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Polluting the air, water, the food, the destroyer of paradise, the destroyer of Eden, the destroyer of the earth. All right? The Lord said he would destroy those who destroy the earth because he has that. If I can't have it, no one can. It's like that dude who tried to get that hot chick, and when she went with another guy, he decides to kill her, the guy, and then himself. That's the mindset of the Edomite. He's ruined the earth so bad, and he's in that mindset. Well, if I can't have it, no one can. That's why they're talking about this Samson thing. Rather than admit that they're not the people of the Lord, that they are not the Israelites, this is what they rather do. Pride and shame that they don't want to face.
Maybe it does. Maybe it's already got them. Maybe they're a week or 2 or 5 or 10 weeks away. So the whole balance of power in the region has changed. And no amount of floating aircraft carrier targets in the Eastern Mediterranean is going to change that equation. And of course, we now live in a world where Russia and China have effectively become one country, certainly one power.
And they're going to unleash their armory. The Ezekiel 38 prophecy is actually in motion. This is Jeremiah 50:25, and it reads, Yahweh hath opened his armory, he hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation for the work of the Lord, power of hosts, in the land of the Chaldeans. Jumping up to verse 29. And that, he created this, he created the smith that created the waster. That will be your ICBM nuclear fusion, Oppenheimer. The Lord created him and gave him, all right, that technology so that he could, do it. That's why you always seeing so-called UFOs, the chariots, the angels of the Lord, always circling around the nuclear stuff, making sure that it doesn't go off. That's what they're really doing. For those of you who want to know, they're holding back the destruction until it's time to let it go, because they're gonna control it. Because there's military officials on record telling you how these UFOs, which are the chariots of Israel, the angels of the Lord, turn these nuclear things on and off at will. You know, that video of that missile that was fired and that chariot flew alongside it and fired a few lasers at it and disarmed it and then destroyed it. Okay? Jeremiah 15 and 29. Call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow, and camp against round about it. So all the nations that have the arrows that can fly from one end of the earth, the Lord's going to have them all fire them on Babylon. All right? And you know, and Israel will probably be no more already. By the time that Babylon is destroyed, Israel's going to get wiped out too. All right? But Israel is going to be built back up. That's the difference. You know, America's never gonna have people inhabit it again. It's gonna be left for a memorial to, you know, so that the world may know, the nations may know, this is what happens when you go against the Lord. Jeremiah 15:29 again. Call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about. Let none thereof escape. Recompense her, pay her back according to her work. The Americans, the West, are responsible for hundreds of millions of death through war and through medical experiments and things of that nature. Facts, not misinformation, not disinformation, complete and total facts. All right. There's been more deaths. I think 3 or 4 times the amount of deaths from Vietnam since a certain event took place between 2020 and 2023. By the time 2022, more than 3 times the people had died around the world that that all were victims of a certain thing. All right, and not the thing itself, but the science that was supposed to fix the thing. All right. But, these things we can't speak on. All right. We're not going to say any names, any medical names. All right. We don't want no issues when it comes to that. But those in the know exactly what we're talking about. All right. It says, call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about, and let none of therefore escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she have done. Do unto her, for she have been proud against Yahweh, against the Holy One of Israel. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off. In that day, saith Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith Yahweh of hosts. For thy day is come, and the time that I will visit thee, and the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. And I will kindle a fire in his cities, and shall devour all around about him. So Esau Edom is about to become the stubble in the fire. They're going to get wiped out.
Russia and China have proved, and could easily prove many times over, that they are on the side of the new order, the new multipolar world. And so every way you look at it, every way you dice it, it's over. The sun is rising in the east and setting in the west.
Damn.
And instead of negotiating our decline, we have bet everything on a zero-sum game approach. Instead of going for win-win, we've gone for all or nothing. And I'm afraid we're going to be left in the end with nothing.
Yeah. Yes. And we can zoom in on the United States a bit now that you bring up the regional consequences. Antony Blinken was traveling or traversing the Middle East once again for what seems like the half dozenth of times. Traveling to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, everywhere he can go, talking to the Palestinian Authority. The idea of this has been, and this is what the Biden administration has said, is to prevent a regional war, to de-escalate the situation. That has been the framing. But one of the things that's been quite clear is that while the United States has from the very beginning inflamed regional tensions since Israel has gone on its onslaught, it has also expressed, maybe it's disingenuous, but in my estimation, it is a genuine fear that the United States will get pulled in to a conflict that Israel cannot win regionally. It cannot, as you said, if the U.S. can't defeat Iran, if the U.S. cannot take on Hezbollah, what makes us think that Israel can? So with that said, I wanted to just pull up a graphic because you mentioned Yemen, the Red Sea situation. Constantly, the United States has been saying over the last several days that there is no damage being done, that Yemen is not doing any damage, the Houthis aren't doing any damage. But the Financial Times just wrote an article about this situation, and you mentioned Paper Tiger. Here are all of the U.S. forces scattered about West Asia.
He said West Asia. They call this, as you see, the U.S. has more than 57,000 personnel in the Middle East. It's not the Middle East. It's West Asia. Let's let them say it again.
Damage. The Houthis aren't doing any damage. But the Financial Times just wrote an article about this situation, and you mentioned Paper Tiger. Here are all of the U.S. forces scattered about West Asia.
West Asia. Let's click. Here's a map of Asia. All right. Let's bring it up. All right. That's the European part of Asia. All right. You see it's a map of Asia, but you see Europe. Just because you colored the part of Asia that you called Europe yellow doesn't make it not a part of the rest of the continent. All right. As we come down into West Asia. All right. The same on the map that the United States has 57,000 troops in this area. In Western Asia, Europe, and we go up. So let's go up. Let's start at the bottom of Yemen. All right, here. And we're going to trace it all the way up. All right. As you can see, it is completely and totally connected. The Black Sea does not, and the Caspian Sea is not a separation, because you can go from Spain, all the way from Spain and Portugal, across land, straight into Russia. Why? Because Russia is in Asia. So is Europe. That's why they started saying Eurasia. So, and then they created this false thing called the Middle East. All right. As if, to create a whole racial concept about people, because everyone in this region is of people of color. All right. Everyone was, except for Esau Edom, because he's cursed. All right. So let's go back to that chart. Same thing you're looking at here. So, Esau Edom is just a complete and total liar. You can't believe anything. And they cannot win this war over here. And Elisa the flock is drawing them out, and he's going to draw them into the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which they're being drawn into now. That's why there's 57,000 U.S. troops there. Joel 3:2. I will also gather all nations, and I will bring them down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh-Shaphat, all right? And I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and have parted my land. Let's go to Isaiah 63 real quick, or 65. Real quick. Isaiah 65. And 15. Salakia, I think was it Isaiah 63. He will plead with them with fire. Yeah, I can't recall that scripture. Someone can put it up on a comment board. But he says he's going to plead with them. It's 66 and 15. He came back. All right. But the Lord is going to plead with them in fire and utterly destroy them all. So none of those army, none of those troops, and none of the NATO troops that are joined unto them are coming home. All right? Call halal Yahweh Bashem Awashai Bahasham Rakak Wadash Kwam Yasharala Shalom.